Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of He Said, He Said, He Said. A look at the world from a seasoned Black man's perspective. I'm your host, Alvin King. Welcome to another live episode tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We are back and we're going to get newsy with you guys. So thank you for joining us tonight. I hope everyone has had a great week. It has gone by very, very, very fast. And here we are at the end of March, ladies and gentlemen. Um, you know, I was I was thinking something was heavy on my heart that I wanted to share with all of you today. And I want to send a message to each and every one of you because there's so much going on in the world. I want you guys to invest in yourself. There's so much that's going on that's preventing us from, just being at peace with things that we do. It's making us redirect how we live our lives, how we entertain, and all of that. But I think by investing in ourselves, getting with our friends if we can, making time for people who are special to us if we can. I think that's a part of investing in ourselves. And I know me personally, I have pushed away from that a bit. I've been very busy and that I haven't made that the focal point. And I woke up this morning and after I said, God, thank you, because there's so many people going through so many things. And I'm waking up in the morning being able to say, thank you, Lord. I thought about, investing, in myself and how I haven't seen some of my friends and I'm making time for things that make me happy. So I want to send that message to you all. Thank you for joining the show tonight. Again, welcome to the show. For those of you who live in DC or who are visiting DC, it is cherry blossom season here, and the National Cherry Blossom Festival is well underway. And it's a spring celebration commemorating the gift of Japanese cherry trees that arrived here in 1912. And it features events like the opening ceremony, blossom kite festivals, and the National Cherry Blossom Parade. And if you haven't seen the cherry blossoms in full bloom, it is a sight to behold, ladies and gentlemen. It is, this is actual pictures of what it looks like down on the on the tidal basin. So, if you get a chance to go down there, do that. Hopefully, I will get a chance to go down there myself before all the cherry blossoms fall off. But please do that. Oh, and I did give my producer a website if you want to catch some of the events. Some of them are free, but not all of them. So don't try to go to the opening ceremony saying Alvin sent you because you will get got because it's not free. All right. How you doing, Monica? Thank you for joining the show. This week, ladies and gentlemen, can you believe 1 year ago today, it is the anniversary of that marks that 1 year anniversary that the Francis Scott Key Bridge was hit in the accident in Baltimore. And this week, Governor Westmoreland joined Maryland leaders to mark the 1 year anniversary of that accident and remembering the 6 lives lost, honoring those who courageously responded and commemorating the resilience of the entire state of Maryland. That was very, very tragic. I remember I drove home from Baltimore that evening that bridge was hit. And so, and just to see it go down, and I don't know how much progress is being made because funding is being pulled from this, that, and the other. But we do hope that that bridge is up and running again. But Maryland has really persevered through all of that. How you doing, Michelle? Thank you for joining the show tonight. And a couple of weeks ago, or several weeks ago, Sean talked about, buying black. And so this week I was, doing my research and I discovered that a Black woman has developed a Black Amazon app to help shoppers find Black-owned businesses. And it's called Black Now app. And it is revolutionizing access to Black-owned businesses. Recent diversity, equity, and inclusion rollbacks have led many Americans to reconsider their relationship with major retailers like Amazon and Target. But a young woman by the name of Dacia Petri has been waiting for this moment since 2018. And the UI and web designer started her journey, as many young women do, with an Instagram page. Here she started, she curated Black-owned businesses and prominent Black leaders to profile and highlight after enrolling in web design courses at Spelman University. And she later launched her app and website, Black Nile, in 2021. You can find her on IG. You can go to Black Nile. But for those of you who are interested in buying Black, I wanted to make sure that I gave you that information. She has not paid me to do that PSA. But if you all know her, let her know that you heard it on He Said, because I've been to her website and there's a lot of interesting buys that if you want to buy Black, you can definitely go there and find something that you may need. And before I bring the guys on, I had to share this with you all. When I heard that Maryland University has hired the most famous amphibian to be their commencement speaker this year at the university, Kermit the Frog will be delivering the commencement address at Maryland University's graduation this year. And, you know, when you think about university commitment speakers, you know, they're often notable like members of the community or even famous celebrities that hopefully inspire the graduates with a blend of wisdom and humor. But again, this spring, Maryland University has invited someone who is all of those things and very green at that. Kermit the Frog will be there, and he will be at Maryland University delivering the commencement address for their graduates this year on May the 21st. I actually want to go. I want to see how they're going to do that because it's very innovative and I think it's going to be fun and it won't be as boring as some of the graduations are that some of us have gone to over the many years of our lives. Blue, thank you very much. Yeah, please check out her website. So you guys, look, we got a great show for you tonight. And we're welcoming back Bobby, who's been gone way too long, ladies and gentlemen. So if you all are ready, let's get on with the chat.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, oh, there we go.
Hey, Sean and Bobby, how y'all doing? And I'm gonna let you all tell people things about you, where you were. I'm gonna let you all welcome to the show tonight, you guys. Happy Friday to you.
Thank you.
Welcome back, Bobby.
Thank you very much. It is very good to be back. And for our viewers, you may notice I'm not sitting on the green couch as I normally have for a couple of years now. I'm still kind of searching for my new location because one of the reasons I was away is I've been blessed after a very, very long home renovation to move back to my childhood home in Washington, D.C. So I am in my new kitchen where the lighting seems to work. So that's where I am. So it's good to be back.
It is working, baby. You got that glow. You got that Bobby glow going on. And Sean, how you doing? Looking all, you know, all something. I'm not. You look like you're on vacation somewhere.
Well, I am. I'm actually in Cartagena, Colombia. This is my first time here, and so I'm an hour behind you all. So it kind of feels good to be on a different timeline, where you know I have some time after the show is over to just do whatever. But yes, I'm in Cartagena. Been here since Tuesday, and I'm having a great time. So I recommend to everyone, if you get a chance, come to this little hidden jewel, you know, on the Caribbean Ocean. Check it out.
I'm gonna say yes.
The Caribbean Sea. I'm sorry, the Caribbean Sea.
Please go to Cartagena, especially if you're gonna do a podcast and you're the host, because as you can see, the internet works very well there. Okay.
Now that's commitment. That's commitment.
It is working very well. So no, first of all, thank you to you and Bobby. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, we live in the real world and things are going on. And with Bobby's move and Sean's travel schedule,
Not enough of it.
You know, they are here and we're ready for a good show tonight. But no, I'm glad to be with you guys. So thank you.
It's good to be back.
I appreciate it. So we're going to get newsy with the folks today. So what you guys got going on in the chat?
Well, let me start with this one because you're talking about travel, and I was on travel actually last weekend as well. I was on travel in South Carolina visiting my family. They're all in a small town called Dillon, but we make up a big part of that part of the state called the PD region. And they are really into this music called Southern Soul. They've been into it for quite some time. And so about 8 months ago, I said to my cousin Rabbit, real name is Bruce, I said, Rabbit, get me an interview with one of these guys that puts this music out. Well, he didn't get it done for me. Lo and behold, a few weeks ago, I see Robin on Good Morning America dancing to Southern Soul music with her fan in her hand. And so I'm like, what? So the phenomenon is real. People are into Southern Soul. Last weekend in South Carolina, literally thousands of people showed up for an event in South Carolina, Florence, South Carolina to be specific. All the hotels were booked up and down Interstate 95. So this thing is real. The music is incredible. The music is catchy. It doesn't require a lot of learning to it, if you will, but I'm hearing that if you want to buy a fan, they're getting very, very expensive. So Southern Soul, that's the new thing now. Southern Soul music, the cowboy hats, the cowboy boots, the denim jeans, the whole works. It is a real thing and people are really into it. Wow. And I'm seeing folks from Baltimore, not so much here in DC, but up and down the Carolina coast, Georgia, they're into it. And as far west as Alabama, they are into this new phenomenon.
Well, you know, that speaks to what I was saying, you know, when I opened the show, saying you have to invest in yourself. And, you know, I'm a child of I love music, and music has definitely saved my life. And so, you know, doing something like that, and those people who probably participate in those events with all that music, they are living longer. You know, they are celebrating again, investing in themselves. Harold King, thank you for joining us today to get newsy with us. We appreciate you, my brother. Thank you for being here. But thank you, Sean. And you know what? I'm going to look into that Southern Soul, and hopefully I can go or attend one of them, because you mentioned, you know, I love cowboy boots, and you know that's my thing. So
there are festivals popping up all over.
Okay, thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're a resource here. Okay, You better know it. Bobby, what's going on with you?
Well, I'm going to take us in a slightly different direction. There are a growing number of states and school districts that are implementing or considering the implementation of cell phone bans in the school system. I'm sure even here in the District of Columbia and the DMV, as we call it, there have been a lot of schools, including my own school, that have implemented new policies around cell phone use. Now, there are pros and cons, obviously, that one might consider when thinking about a cell phone ban. Now, some of the pros include enhanced learning tools, access to a wealth of resources via the cell phone, improved communication, particularly during an emergency. You can imagine with all of the school shootings and things like that have happened, parents and students want to be able to connect with one another immediately. Digital literacy. We are living in a world in which digital literacy is ever more important. And so the use of the cell phone, although I believe many, many young people are quite proficient already, but it does digital literacy. Now, some of the cons, distractions throughout the course of the day, as you might imagine, both academic and social engagement in terms of one-on-one FaceTime with one another. So often you see kids, they can be in a group and they're all still down, face down in the phone, not really engaging with one another. Cyberbullying. You can imagine during the school sessions that, you know, there are kids who actually utilize their cell phone as a tool to implement cyberbullying as well. Academic dishonesty, the whole issue of using a cell phone to cheat during a test or exam of some nature. And last but not least, inequality. Not everyone has access to a cell phone. Right. And so the whole notion of making it something that would be the norm calls into question issues of inequity. So the jury is still out, and I've witnessed firsthand both the pros and the cons at our school.
I definitely see it. When I heard about it, of course, I'm not a parent, okay? So my first thought is, these parents are not going to have it with the climate being the way that it is right now, and these unexpected school shootings and all, different things that happen within the school.
Yep.
And when they want to reach their child, the first thing they're thinking is, call me,
Right.
because I please don't answer this, Bobby, because you're an educator. But they can't always count on the school to call them first. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't speak to it, but that was my first thought with it. At the same time, we all know that there are students that use their phones in school, and it's prohibiting them from really learning what they should be learning while they're there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And as you mentioned, that emergency issue, like now with many of the policies that are being implemented, if they're not banned, they're banned in terms of the use during the day. And so they have what they call it kind of like phone lockers, where they actually put the phones away and the kids don't actually have access to them. And of course, in an emergency, you couldn't get to it.
Well, we had a picture. Can we go back to one of those pictures where we had like a phone lock? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's kind of like a cubby almost.
Like
cell phone. There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you come into the classroom, you're required to take your phone. You get your number, and you're required to put your phone there. So you don't even have access to it until you leave the classroom.
It seems to me that all they need to do is let the kids keep their phones and then just turn off the Wi-Fi or turn off the access to cell towers in the interim.
So what then would we who work at a school do who require those signals?
We didn't have them when I was in school.
And you did.
All right, Fred Flintstone back in the Stone Age. What are you talking about? This is a whole different generation.
When y'all used to hit rocks on the ground, and that's how you all got in touch with people. Wait a minute, Aral Help, thank you for being here tonight, my brother. Aral Help said, I knew of a parent that's also a high school teacher, did not want her daughter to have a phone. Her daughter was an A-level student. And to your point, Aral Help, my niece, who is a clinical psychologist, did not give her daughter a phone until her senior year of college. Her senior year of high school.
High school, wow.
Did not give, and her daughter now is getting ready to graduate. My great niece is getting ready to graduate from medical school. Right.
Well, to hold out that long is certainly the exception to the rule. No.
Yes.
And she has 3 kids, and that's how she's raised her kids, by not using the phone, keeping the phone. So I want to see how that pan out, Bobby. So we might have to have you bring that subject up again.
All right.
I'll
be ready.
And again, I ain't trying to put you on the spot. Okay.
But
I'm not trying to do that.
Carry on.
I'm not. Well, one of the things for the chat that came up for me this week, as some people in DC may know, in 2026, Waymo has its eyes on DC for their robo taxis to come here. And for those of you who don't know what Waymo is, it is formerly the Google self-driving car project, and it's developing fully autonomous vehicles with the goal of making it easier and safer for people to get around. These cars cost about $100,000 each to make. And after designing and testing and driving different vehicle configurations, the company now offers robo-taxi service in multiple cities, and they are coming here. And I wanted to make sure that I put some pros and cons together for this, okay? Because all I'm saying, I see way more issues, way more accidents, in my head. I see way more things that we don't want to deal with. But the pros, check this out. One of the pros is enhanced safety, right? And it said their vehicles are designed in advanced sensors and algorithms to potentially reduce human error. And then it says, if you come down, it says convenience and productivity. And then it says under cons for safety concerns, while designed for safety, self-driving cars are not foolproof and can malfunction or struggle with unexpected situations such as construction, weather, or pedestrians. Here is the one that really got me. Ethical dilemma with these Waymo cars. Autonomous vehicles raise complex ethical questions such as who's responsible in the event of an accident? Right. If ain't nobody driving it,
Waymo.
you gonna blame it on the person who it hit, or
Waymo. No,
what?
Waymo will have to be accountable for it.
Say that again.
Waymo, the company Waymo, would still have to be accountable if the car caused an accident.
Well, that hasn't been figured out, so they got way more issues now that they have to try to figure out.
Waymo as much as he can tonight.
Yes.
No, I just thought, I personally, let me ask you, would you all get in one of those cars?
No.
No.
I have not adventurous?
That's not adventurous. That's not adventurous. That's putting faith in technology.
Way too much faith.
See, that's what happens when you got smart men on the panel. Right. No, I wouldn't drive. I wouldn't take one either, to be honest with you. That's something that, that's like me and skiing. So if anybody want to take me skiing, I ain't going. Okay. Or if I go, I'm going to bring you all coffee. Okay. When you all come off the slope. Okay. Because Alva's not going to do it. But Bobby and Sean, thank you guys. Let's get ready to dive into some of this news that's out here. Because I'm going to tell you, there's a phrase that sometimes when people say something to you, like something's happened, and you say, oh my God, it can't get any worse. I don't say that.
I don't either. My mother used to go, what else could happen? I'm like,
in this climate that we live in, I keep saying, what the hell is next?
Yeah, exactly. Well,
what the hell?
I want you to know that the CDC is reporting rise in measles cases in the United States of America. Now, some of you very, very well have seen a lot more people who've been going back to masks and so forth in grocery stores and public transportation and so forth. And as of March 20th, over 378 cases have been reported in a number of states, 18 jurisdictions across the country, including Alaska, Georgia, Kansas, Maryland, here in DC as well. And there has been one fatality of a school-age child in Texas. Now, here's the breakdown on the measles. Measles is a highly contagious viral infection that often spreads via coughing, sneezing, and close contact. Measles is preventable. The measles, mumps, rubella vaccine is highly effective in preventing the measles. The rise is caused by declining vaccination rates. That is what they're attributing to, that fewer people are actually vaccinating themselves. And as a result of it, it is spreading. There is also, in addition to the declining vaccination rates, there's also a lot of misinformation being spread. And now I'm thinking about, again, the appointment of people in positions of power that influence our country. Because when I think about the Director of Health and Human Services, Director Kennedy, and I think about misinformation, the two are inextricably linked. Now, measles is still common in many countries. And so we also have to be mindful of the fact that travelers can also bring it into the United States because, again, their expectations and requirements around vaccination are not necessarily the same. Now, what are the symptoms? Fever, cough, runny nose, and eye irritation, followed by a rash. What can you do? Get vaccinated and stay informed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Sean. I'm gonna hold this one for a second. Go ahead.
No, it's just a crazy thing to me because, again, we all know the history of Robert Kennedy Jr. We know that he
is crazy.
He's crazy. A former drug user, a former climate denier. I mean, he's
and not a doctor.
And not a doctor. First and foremost, let's start there.
No, it's insane that people do not want to think about the greater good when it comes to healthcare. Okay, and maybe that's part of how we have evolved so far as a society, that we have become more selfish as opposed to selfless, and become more individualistic as opposed to being more of a community. Maybe that's why things are where they are now.
Well, as you said, and he's not even a physician. And how does one appoint someone who has no medical training to be the Director of Health and Human Services?
Chaos.
But that's the entire Trump administration.
Complete and utter chaos. And to your point about how the measles are traveling, for those of you who live in DC or travel up and down on Amtrak this week, how it got to DC, they have traced it back to a train 172 or something, or Amtrak 172, and the person who was on that train came back and went to a clinic in Columbia Heights. And so that's how the spread has got here. The person traveled into DC and then went to the doctor.
Wow.
And everybody who was on that train, they've kind of went back to that. So, but you know, America, for the most part, we have been vaccinated, many of us, but then there are a lot of people here who don't believe in vaccination for their kids. And then they're sending them to school and doing all that stuff. And that's what's happening. So, you know, and it wasn't that long ago that when Biden took over as president, COVID rates started to decline. You know, in terms of people getting COVID, because dying because that person who was in there before him wasn't doing anything.
Vaccinations are important. They're very, very important. And in fact, I'm glad you mentioned, because once I did a little research on it and had been hearing things on the news, I too was like saying, okay, now I believe I'm vaccinated, but due to my age, I know that it was a requirement.
Correct.
Back when I was growing up, to have gotten the vaccination. So I don't have to worry about that. But much younger people, as you've said, have had more of an option around it. And many have opted out in terms of the vaccination. And now they find themselves, whether you are a young person who's not vaccinated, whether you are immune compromised. I was like, come on, Bobby, say it, immune compromised, or just, you know, part of the elderly community. Those are the most vulnerable communities.
But think about this. Think about the long-term consequences of this. Those of us who are over 50 know that we have to get our shingles vaccination. So if we have a generation of people who don't believe in getting vaccinations as kids, or they didn't get them as kids, and then they get into their 50s and 60s, what are we going to see when it comes to shingles with that generation?
Absolutely. And our producer, Norman, reminds us that there could very well be coming a booster that would be required of people such as myself and of the mature community who got vaccinated decades ago, that there may be a booster being considered as well.
Well, I'm gonna be in line, because I should be glowing, because I will get every vaccination. I have no problem with going and sticking a body part somewhere and say, go ahead and put it in there. No, I don't have a problem with that. And so I am that guy.
Yeah.
So I if it's a booster coming, I'm gonna stand in line. Okay.
Well, during the pandemic, I was called Pincushion Bobby, because I was
and not to get off topic, but through all of that was happening with, you know, shingle shot and things that we have to get because we are men of a certain age and what we had to get. Then back, you remember they threw some damn monkeypox stuff up in there. I said, you go.
Oh yeah. And again, knowing someone personally who had it, and witnessing the physical implications of having monkeypox, we had every right to be extremely concerned. Extremely.
I said, stick me, okay? Wow. I don't care. Well, speaking of concern, I gotta go to this next one, because this week, like I said, you just gotta say what next, because this story is about Trump's top national security team. Officials accidentally added a journalist, Jeffrey Goldberg of The Atlantic, to a classified chat about its war plans, okay? And Donald Trump stood by his national security advisor, Mike Waltz, after The Atlantic editor-in-chief, you know, shared the text message that they said was unclassified information. And it was classified information. And he said that Trump said that Mike Waltz just learned a lesson. And we just going to slap him on his hand and tell him go back to work. Mm-hmm. When I tell you this whole situation that's happening right here, there is no way that had that been any Democrat that had done something so stupid and so heinous that they would be in. First of all, kudos to Jeffrey Goldberg, okay, who said, you know, I hope you got some security, Jeffrey Goldberg, and watch what you eat. But kudos to him for saying, no, this is a lie.
Yeah. And how could anything related to war not be classified information? Like it's embarrassing the way that they are trying to justify, as opposed to just taking ownership for what was a huge mistake.
It wasn't just a mistake; it's worse than people realize. People forget that one of the individuals who was part of this group text was Defense Secretary Hegseth. He received that communication while in Moscow.
Right.
So literally, he was on Russian soil getting this information that Russia, I'm sure, has a way of tapping into.
Absolutely.
So it's bad all the way around.
It's not Hegseth. It's Musk, and you're just like.
Again, all you can say is, what's next?
We're trying not to say that. Remember, we're not trying to. We're trying.
No, I'm saying no. I'm not. What I'm saying what's next. What I'm not saying is, can it get any? It can't get any worse.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that, because you know, look at these idiots up in here. You know something's next. Something's coming. Something is just like.
Because incompetency is in abundance right now.
Where's that person passing that plate? Because you need to go to Bobby's new house and pass that plate right there.
Please.
Okay.
Woo, please pass the plate.
Oh, you said, please pass the plate. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'm sure more will be revealed on that moving forward. So,
Well, and to go to another story, the Democrats, I don't think, are doing enough to call this stuff out. So Democrats face demands to step up their opposition to Trump and his administration. And this is happening in town halls, of course. We've seen a lot when it comes to Republican town halls, but we also know that Bernie Sanders and AOC have been having rallies. But the Democratic base is frustrated with the party as things mount, especially following government funding. We had the thing in DC where they're threatening to remove $1 billion from the DC government budget, and Democratic lawmakers seek distance from Chuck Schumer, who should be forced out. But I think Chuck Schumer has a plan, and I don't agree with it, but I think his plan is to let things just burn down with the hope that Democrats will rise from the ashes like a phoenix. That's a big risk. But is it enough? I don't think so. The party, in my opinion, is getting more divided because you have some folks talking about, like I said, AOC and Bernie Sanders, and they're out there doing these rallies, and they're saying, oh, they had thousands of people at their rally. They had 30,000 people. Well, Kamala Harris had twice that many at her rallies.
Come on.
Okay.
There's another plate being passed.
There's another plate. Take it to Costa. Where are you? Where are you? Send that plate to him. Okay. Okay.
But in all seriousness, though, but the Democrats are playing this game. They are also like, okay, well, we got 3 special elections coming up in April. If we win these elections in April, we'll take back the House. Let's pray that happens. But still, that's not enough. They need to do more, and people are asking that they do more. But when you got people who want to speak out during the State of the Union, and then you have the leader of the Democratic on the Democratic House side chastising
them, right?
Then okay, what's the whole point?
Right.
Again, we can't sit back, okay, in the back of the church, cross our legs and wave our fans, be quiet, while the minister is preaching lies. Okay, call him out. Okay, and that's what's happening with the Democratic Party. But I do feel like the base is getting frustrated. I don't know about you all, but I still get texts like every day from some Democratic organization asking me to donate money. I'm like, no,
I'm not doing it. Right.
I'm done.
I'm not doing it. I'm glad you brought that up though, Sean, because during our production meeting, I just flat out said, the Democrats are weak. Lord, Sean, look, see what happens, ladies and gentlemen. See, he's overseas somewhere and his light is fading, but we got you. You just keep smiling, because you keep smiling, the light comes back. But yeah, I'm glad.
The light is fading.
I'm glad it's not your inner light. It's the light of where you are. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you brought that up, and that we definitely have to keep our eyes on the Democrats, because I can't say what more they need to do, but inside there's some hypocrisy going on there inside the party, and that looks ugly. And Glenn Baker, thank you for joining us tonight. And I think this was about the leaked text message. Glenn called them intoxicated, incompetent imbeciles. Wow, Glenn, tell us how you really feel. Yeah, that. Bam! And
Nancy Pelosi's clap where she was like,
Raw Health, he said that he's in love with Jasmine Crockett, which you happen to be on point, because we're going to talk about her right now, and how they're trying to condemn her for a speech that she made at the HRC dinner, and she, they're saying that she was mocking Governor Greg Abbott in his wheelchair, and called him Hot Wheels, or made the reference to Hot Wheels. And so they're condemning her and saying that she shouldn't have said it. She should be impeached or get off. They should kick her out and all this. But they forgot that Donald Trump mocked a reporter, Serge Kavaleski, in 2016. The same, literally mocked him and did that thing that you see on this picture. He can't get any more unattractive, but he did that. And so the hypocrisy there, they want to condemn her, but they don't want to talk about him doing it. I don't know if you all have seen some of the the interviews with people who are trying to condemn her.
I'm not, but we're also talking about a leader who has a nickname for almost everyone. If you remember, Elizabeth Warren was known as Pocahontas, and it's Sleepy Joe Biden. This is little Mario Rubio. This is the man who has verbally bullied people and been inappropriate since he began campaigning. And so it's very rich that they are trying to be indignant about this statement. Do I see it as a choice that she might not have made? Absolutely, I do. But that said, it pales in comparison to some of the things that have been said about people as a part of this whole current administration.
Well, Bobby, I'm going to have to disagree with you a little bit there, because I am an equal opportunity attacker. Okay. So whether you're able or disabled, you do some stupid crap, then you deserve it. And people forget that Abbott, how he got his money.
Oh, please don't think that I don't think that he should get it. That's not what I'm saying, because he's a man.
Yeah. So again, I understand what you're saying, but okay, whether you are able or disabled, if you're going to throw crap, you got to be able to receive it. Okay, and Abbott has thrown his share of crap from that chair. Okay, and so I don't have a problem with what she said.
First off, ladies and gentlemen, that's why we call this show He Said. Okay, and we love every minute of it. Terry Franklin, welcome to the show tonight. Terry said that Governor Abbott is a terrible bully in Texas. And Raw Health said Bobby Trump was 18 in 1964. What do you expect? He misses the era of his youth.
That is exactly why he has used the word great again. Those words, great again. You're absolutely right, Raw Health. He's trying to return back to an era that we are not trying to go back to.
Well, that sounds like, when I look at him, I see a messed up bed, a bed, a messed up bed. And, you can, when you put those sheets on the first time, they're flat. But no matter how much you make up that bed, there's still wrinkles in it. Okay. So he's just a messed up bed in my life right now. Okay. That's what he's.
Analogy for you.
Okay. But so, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna that's our top stories, and we got some entertainment news for you guys tonight. So we want to talk to you guys about. So if you're ready, Bobby and Sean, let's get into some entertainment news tonight.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So the high cost of eggs, tariffs, emails that inform you that you may no longer have a job. There are a variety of things that got people being very, very cautious about the spending of their money. And that's not really working well with the high cost of tickets to go see our girl, Queen Bee, and the Cowboy Carter tour. There's been a little bit of a slump in some of those sales. Now, she is sold out in several cities. So it's not a flop by any stretch of the imagination. But they're all reasons that people have been a little cautious about really spending money and going to be in the presence of the Queen Bee, because, of course, the ticket prices, as you can see, range, $84 on one end, $809 on another, upwards of $900 to attend a concert. And so
Bobby, that's low. Sorry to interject, and see that's low because there are some tickets that go for $3,500.
I was going to say that scale right there is not getting you anywhere near her. Trust me, those are pretty far. Yeah, if you want to take in Queen Bee's air, you will pay thousands and thousands of dollars.
Thousands of dollars. Yeah.
And it just time when people just don't feel the freedom to be able to spend that frivolously.
Well, I think also, even though I enjoyed her album and whatnot, I just think, I'm not saying that the timing is wrong, but I think part of why this tour jumped off the way it is, she's proven a point to the country music folks who dissed her. So she's proven a point as well, but she's doing it at our expense. If we want to see her, and God knows, I love Beyonce. I love Beyonce.
If you're willing to pay that money, though, she can only do it at your expense. She's not doing it at my expense because you see what I'm focusing on right now, so it's not happening.
Well, invest in yourself. Sorry,
that's what I did.
I think Beyonce saw the Southern Soul trend long before anyone else did, and she's capitalizing on a phenomenon that's going on right now. I mean, I haven't heard the album in its entirety. I mean, I've only heard half of one song from the album, but it does seem to play in alignment with the Southern Soul. And I do think that's the next thing for Black music.
Come on. You better go ahead and spin. Turn it around, Sean. That's it. Sean just brought it home. Southern Soul. Yes, you did. All right.
Well, let's go on to the next celebrity who is making some infamous news, if you will, and that is Malik Yoba, who now identifies as a non-white and not a Black man. Now, I don't know where he's coming from. I don't know the man at all, but I can get wanting more classifications of who we are as a people, because I do think that the census should have things like Gullah Geechee, Black Indian, or Appalachian Black, or whatever. But all of our roots aren't from West Africa, and so therefore, to be called Black American, in my opinion, kind of limits who we are as a people. Okay, because our history goes back hundreds of years on in the States, particularly in the South. So Black folks have been in the States, well, in the Western Hemisphere for thousands of years. Okay, the history was taken from us. But what Malik Yoba might be doing is saying that his identity is more than just of West African descent. So now the way he went about it, not great. He should probably further explain his logic, but so I need to, you see,
very generous in your description as to what he is doing, because I feel if he had that logic, he would have shared that logic.
And I don't know, and that's a very valid thing to say, Bobby, because he's been a celebrity, if he's still a celebrity, that has some issues over the last few years. So,
if
but here's the problem with what he did. The problem is that he used the word white as being the standard. Now
it centers it. Yes, it centers it.
It makes white the center. So he should have said something different where white wasn't the center. And it may have come across a bit better. So that's where the problem is. But if he's trying to identify something that's more than what he's been taught as a kid, I get that part. But he should let the white part alone.
I concur.
Some of our viewers have said some of the things that I've been thinking. Terry says that he's making the point that he's non-white. So non-whites say that word.
Coalesce. Yes.
Coalesce into majority of humans. Terry, you better come on and educate me tonight. I love Mr. Franklin. Thank you so much.
I love our audience. Hey, Terry.
I love our audience. I really do. And Felix, welcome to the show tonight. Felix, I said that too, trying to be relevant. Right. He's definitely, and Terry said he's isolating white oppressors. Terry. Okay, Terry, you know what?
But
we're gonna frame a show just for Terry and bring Terry on the show. We're gonna talk Terry. We need to have you back.
I get what he's saying, but I still feel that by still identifying himself as non-white, he's centering whiteness as the norm and the standard, as Sean was saying.
Well, okay. Well, let's see if he. Hopefully, he won't do anything to his physical self. People thought Michael Jackson did, but Michael Jackson had a pigment issue.
Yeah.
So right.
And,
so
and Janet didn't. Well, let me stop.
You really okay? Ooh, yes, you did. Okay. Well,
I feel the hole being dug here, Janet. Don't do it.
From one maybe celebrity to one who is.
Okay.
Will Smith, ladies and gentlemen, his new album based on a true story was released today. Okay, and he is going on tour, and his tour dates actually he's going to be touring throughout Europe and starting July the 13th. And he's making stops in Germany, Morocco, France, and the UK. And he will perform for several festivals while he's out there. The Mawazine in Morocco, the Positive Festival in France, the Dream Beach in Spain, and the Big Art Festival in Italy. And in August, that's when he's heading to the UK for his bill-topping gigs where, in Scarborough, Manchester, and London, and Wolverhampton, where he's going to be headliner for the show. Here's and then he ends in Paris on September 2nd. But Will is not performing in the U.S.
I was going to say, I didn't hear Detroit or D.C.
There's a reason why.
I have been researching, why is he not coming to the U.S.?
Sean, what is your take?
He's testing. He's testing to see if he has an audience still. And no better place to do that is to test in parts of the world where he doesn't have to worry about the same kind of media criticism as he would here in the States.
Okay.
I think it's a risky move because if you remember when Whitney Houston was entertaining across the other side of
Australia,
and her performances were not strong, and we knew about it before she left the stage.
Right. Yeah. Right. That's true. That's true.
Yep.
I remember my first time in Paris, and Destiny's Child was out, and they had that song "Take Away My Breath," where they were like, I was in a club. I hadn't heard the song, and the song came on, and all these boys flooded the dance floor, and they had all the moves and powder in their hand, and they were doing the. So there's some truth to that and when I got back to the States is when I heard the album. I didn't even know that it had been released. So so there's a lot of truth to that. And to close out this segment right here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys. Real quick, and you all can go ahead and curse me out now. But the internet has always been a fertile breeding ground for wild conspiracy theories. But
I want them to know that we were like, are you really bringing this to this audience?
Some a little deeper. So I just wanted to share this. I saw this and I said, I wonder what our audience is going to think of this one right here.
Or you for bringing it.
But the conspiracy theorists are saying that Katy Perry is really JonBenet Ramsey. I said, when I saw this, I said, Alvin, are you going to talk about this tonight? I just want y'all to know that it's some crazy stuff out there. So all of y'all who are just the first thing you see it and you share it. Don't do it. Don't do it. This is a perfect example.
What does Katy Perry's parents have to say about this? He has parents.
What is JonBenet's? Well, they're dead, right? JonBenet's parents, both of them deceased.
I think they're still
the father. No, the mother is deceased, but I don't know if the father is. But first of all, Katy Perry is not JonBenet Ramsey.
No.
Stop it. Stop it. Oh, Michelle is on here. She said, child, not only is he non-white, he is a non-factor to me. Wait a minute. Felix said that's impossible. It is really impossible.
He's talking about JonBenet.
Okay, he's talking about JonBenet. Yeah. Okay. All right. I just have to share that. Moving on. What is it to watch? What do we want our viewers to watch? Because you all spend a lot of time at home right now. So before we let you go, okay.
Well, as you know, very little impresses me when it comes to entertainment and television and movies. But I was like, yes, very little interests me. But I'm very interested and very excited about Viola Davis's new movie called G20. So this thing is, again, not a game changer, but it's a first. It's a first in the sense that we have a middle-aged, dark-skinned Black woman playing an action hero in a blockbuster movie. The movie is going to, of course, debut on Amazon Prime on April 10th, but this is one for the books. This is one that we definitely have to support. It's got a great cast, as you all may be aware of. But we got Davis playing the president, of course, and we got the cast with Anthony Anderson. We got Marcel Martin. We got Ramon Rodriguez. We got Anthony Starr. Of course, if you ever watched that TV show on Netflix called The Boys, he's good in that. We got Douglas Hodge. We got Elizabeth Marvel. We got Sabrina Emanciatori. Italian, Clark Gregg, and Angela Sarafia. So great cast, but this is phenomenal. We got, again, beautiful, dark skin, thespian in every era, EGOT holder who is doing this action-packed, go-get-em kind of Will Smith, Tom Cruise kind of movie. Mm-hmm. This is great. I'm loving it. I can't wait for it.
Look out, April 10th, y'all know where to go. You heard it from Sean. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm going to follow up with a must see as well. You guys know we haven't heard from her for a while, but she's coming back, and that's Lizzo. She is set to produce and star. Look at her. This is her at the Vanity Fair party recently after the Oscars. She's slated to both produce and star in a biopic on Sister Rosetta Tharpe, the Black queer gospel singer-songwriter who made rock and roll songs in the 30s. Now, she was Johnny Cash's favorite singer. She was Little Richard's greatest influence. And Chuck Berry says that his entire career was just one long Rosetta Tharpe impersonation. Now, Lizzo has recently been showing off her guitar skills while on tour in preparation for this film. The importance of Sister Tharpe's influence on many is confirmed via a number of artists. Now, we can confidently say that there may have never been a Beyoncé without Tina Turner, and there would have not been a Tina Turner without Sister Rosetta Tharpe. Now, in Lizzo's own words, she said, "I've been studying her life and reading every book that exists about her. The godmother of rock and roll is in good hands, y'all." And that's directly from Lizzo.
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
when may his soul rest in peace. When Bosch was here, Bosch did a special segment on Rosetta Tharpe, and I didn't know who she was until Bosch did that.
Yeah.
So I may run that piece again. Thank you, Bobby, for that. And for those of you who saw the season 1, Survival of the Thickest has now returned. Season 2 is back, and my girl, Michelle Buteau, is in. I mean, when I tell you, she is in rare form, and she's ready. She is ready. For those of you who don't know the whole storyline, behind this is about a single Black woman whose name is Mavis Beaumont, and she attempts to build her life after putting all her eggs in one basket. She's a struggling stylist. She's about to face various hurdles ahead as she tries to gather herself. She's a plus-size woman. She's out of the norm in an industry that focuses on how you look, what you should look like, and all this. But it is hilarious. And some of the some of the storylines in here are really, really good. If you saw season 1, you're definitely going to enjoy season 2. And for us to wrap up our what you should go see, I don't know if you all will go to see this or not. I know I can't afford it, but Othello is on Broadway, and Denzel Washington and Jake Gyllenhaal, they have brought in over $2 million in the first week on Broadway. Just their star power alone, and the fact that they are doing this play together. And this is produced by Candy Burris of Real Housewives of Atlanta and her husband, Todd Tucker. And, Candy is a force, okay? And I mean, celebrities came out of the woodwork, from Joe Biden, Sherry Shepherd. There were so many, Jennifer Lopez. There were so many celebrities on Broadway for this opening night this week. Again, tickets are already sold out. So unless you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody whose person didn't come, then call me if you want me to go with you, because I can't afford a ticket. Okay, I can't. But
they also mentioned, Candy, that she is working with Fantasia stylists, and she looks phenomenal. Candy Burris has never looked better.
Well,
She's really worked with her body, and she looks fabulous.
All I can say is that she pulled that body together. I was going to say something else, but she pulled that body together for this year. I was going to leave it alone, but she did. Well, guys, this brings us to the closing of our show tonight. Let's get newsy. Bobby, welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be
Welcome back, Bobby.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're down the street now.
We are neighbors again.
Can't wait for the housewarming party. Okay, just let me know. Okay, you know where I live. Sean, I hope that you continue to enjoy the rest of your vacation.
Thank you.
You look amazing. And I see your creative juices flowing. Whatever you're doing there, and I'm going to leave that alone because you're a grown A-man. And I'm not going to say nothing, but I see your creative juices flowing. So
I bet you there's a TikTok under that shirt.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, for the month of April, we did it in March last year. We did March for Art, and we introduced you to some amazing artists in last year. You all asked us to bring it back. We couldn't do it in March because we were away. So we're going to do April for Arts, the whole month of April. And we're bringing 4 artists, 1 artist every week that's going to blow your mind. And so please tune in definitely for the next 4 weeks if you're an art lover, because you're going to see some folks that are going to blow your mind, okay? And our words of the week this week, we're going to leave you with, don't let your fear of what could happen make nothing happen.
Amen.
Let me say that again. Don't let your fear of what could happen make nothing happen, okay? And my plate is on the way. But anyway, I'm sure a lot of thank you guys for being here tonight, and look forward to seeing you all next week and thank you viewers for joining us tonight, and we look forward to seeing you next week on a new episode of He Said. All right, good night, guys.
Ciao.
And the ball men are out. Woo!
Out.